Good morning, ladies. You wanna go browse? You do, huh? Come on, girls. Let's go. Good morning, Leia. How are you doing? You look lovely this morning. You were eager to get out and browse, weren't you? Yeah. I love when the face just freezes over a little scratch. You even quit chewing your grass. Pretty girl. Yes. How are you, Dreamer? Looking lovely as ever. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? It sure is. You girls are so calm today. You're just so calm. You weren't really acting that way yesterday. Yesterday was a Groucho day, huh, Daisy? Not today. You're so cute. Well, honey, I see you decided to eat some grass instead of my hair this morning. I certainly appreciate that. Yeah. Well, a little scratch. I just love your guys' ears. Too cute. How are you doing today, Lily? You look a little angered. Are you a little grouchy? Maybe just a little? Oh, and here she is. I had to say something, huh? You just didn't want to let me down, right? Had to come over here and chew on me? Oh, honey. What's going on, Wildy? Oh, baby. You sound a lot better when you stand. When she lays, she just says, because she's so full of babies. You are adorable, Wildy. Oh my gosh, you're really close. Let me back up a little. How are you doing? Doing good? And Abilene? Are you saying good morning? You girls. You girls are funny today. You're just too funny. You're so calm. Aren't you? Are you gonna fall asleep right here standing? Huh, cutie? Abilene. You goofy girl. How are we this morning, Lodi? Typical mood? Oh yes. Just typical. That face. You are too cute too, though. You know that? This little spitfire. Okay. Grouchy. I don't know, Wildy. I think you're just apparently prone to have lots and lots of babies. Oh, last year as a first freshener, she gave us quads, didn't you? How are you, Tippy Tippy? Huh? Tippy's kind of just been staying to herself lately. Haven't you, girl? Oh, gotta eat that fairy duster down. So there's nothing left. And everybody has to come and wonder what the good treat is. Be nice, Lit Eye. She didn't do nothing to you. She was there first, technically. There's my beautiful Mayo. You see the camera and you just have to bum rush it. Where are you going? What are you doing, Big Mama? Huh? You coming to say hi too? Look at you girls. So many pregnant ladies. This baby. I don't know if you guys can hear her. How are you today, Dinky? You having a good day? Yes. Good morning, Cammie. How are you? Typical Cammie. Over here, as far away from the rest of the goaties as possible. Huh. She is a loner. That's okay. And there's my Betsy. How we doing, Betsy? You look beautiful and fluffy like always, huh? Yeah, you're such a good girl. Just have to know, Daisy. I can't tell if you're grumpy today or not. That look on your face, though. You're so cute. Hello goat lovers, Crystal here with Blue Cactus Dairy Goats, and today we're going to go over Section C of the ADGA official show rules, and also we are only 26 days away from kidding time, so take a moment and make sure you guys subscribe. Alright, so Section C is rules governing show officials and judges, so it's just going over all the rules that the judges and show officials have to abide by. Are you good, boy? The neighbor's truck really angers. Dang, you're okay. All right, so number 1 in Section C, there has to be something in the open that says official ADGA show. In other words, a banner, a sign, something stating that this is an official ADGA show. Number 2, the show secretary has to have a copy of the ADGA show rules at all times. So if at any point there's a question, as far as if a rule, you know, maybe something, the judge sees something and wants to just look it over real quick in the rules, the show secretary has to have these on hand. Number 3, the show chairperson and show secretary cannot be the same person. And if there are 2 shows going on at the same time, the secretary can only officiate 1. So the show chairperson is the person kind of overseeing the whole show, if you will, making sure everything runs smoothly and just kind of in charge. And the show secretary, they are the person that does all of the documentation, so they're going to fill out the paperwork to send into ADGA of all of the winners and so forth. And again, so the show secretary cannot be doing 2 shows that are going on at the same time. He or she cannot be filling out the paperwork for 2 shows. Number 4, The chairperson and secretary are responsible for making sure all rules are followed and met. Just making sure everything is on the up and up. And the sponsoring committee is responsible for the entire show committee's actions, meaning the show committee is those who actually help put on the show. There's lots of different people that have lots of different duties, and they are all going to be responsible if something is flaky. All right, number 5. The show committee and sponsoring organization can add show rules of their own in addition to ADGA's rules, but they must be included when applying for the show to be sanctioned. So, in other words, say that there's a specific checkout time that you're wanting to set up. The actual show committee, the ones holding the show, they could have those in the rules and say you're not allowed to leave until you're dismissed, or something like that. And if they decided not, if an exhibitor decided not to follow those rules, then they could also enforce penalties on them. Just maybe like you have to have permission to come back next time, or something along those lines. You know, you can't just not abide by the rules and expect to be able to attend the next show. So number 6. Any show sanctioned by ADGA has to be judged by an official licensed ADGA judge, and the judge has to adhere to the ADGA rules. So that's pretty obvious one there. So you can't host an ADGA show. Like, I'm not officially licensed as a judge yet, but I couldn't just go into an ADGA show and judge these goats. It has to be an official judge. Number 7. No judge can judge any goat that is. Okay, so there's a few sections here. A goat that is owned even partially by the judge. So if a judge has any ownership whatsoever with that animal, he or she cannot judge that animal. B, if the animal is owned even partially by the judge's immediate family. So that includes grandchildren, grandparents, spouse, children, anybody like that. And C, no judge can judge any goat that is owned even partially by the judge's employer. Number D, the judge cannot have any financial relation to the goat. And then E, the judge can't have any supervision over the goat. So if the judge has anything to do whatsoever with a goat that is going to be judged, he or she is not allowed to judge that animal, which is a good thing. Number 8, the judge has to read the tattoos of a grand champion, the reserve grand champion, and champion challenge winner before they leave the ring. So in other words, he chose the grand champion and the reserve grand champion, and if there was a champion challenge and that particular goat happened to win, those tattoos have to be read before they can take them back to their pen. It has to be done right there after the win. And number 9, the judge has to check the teats and teat orifices and check for defects. So if you'll see it in any show, all the judges will go through and they have to look at the teats and they have to actually look in the orifice, because if there's 2 orifices or if there's an orifice that is sealed off or something, that is a pretty serious defect, and it needs to be looked at. So judges have to check that, and the same on bucks too. You know, you're looking for extra teats also, because that is also a defect and disqualification. And in addition to that, the judge can milk a goat to verify any defects. Now, a judge isn't going to milk the goat out completely, but he can get a little jar or glass and just kind of squirt out a little bit of milk to see if that teat orifice is open and it actually does let out milk, or if there's a couple, like I had said, if there's a couple holes, a couple orifices in the teat. So that would be the way that he checks. But if he does have to check in that manner, then the judge has to sanitize his or her hands. All right, number 10. It is a judge's responsibility to provide the measuring device approved by ADGA, or it has to be in the contract that the sponsoring show and or exhibitors provide the measuring device. The measuring device always has to be used under the judge's supervision. Now, The measuring device is for the Nigerians. So ADGA has an official measuring device, and they have to use it actually now. So a few years back, this wasn't a thing. It was just kind of the judge eyeballed to look at the Nigerian dwarf, and if they looked too tall, then they would measure them. But now every Niger that comes into the ring actually has to be measured just to make sure that they are that they abide by the height requirements. So 10B, judges have to determine the height of a Nigerian dwarf depending on age. A doe or buck can't be under 17 inches, and that would be a mature doe or buck, so 2 years and older. And a doe can't be over 22.5 inches, or a buck 23.5 inches. So that is a disqualification. If your animal, say I have a doe, I'm taking her into the ring and she's 23 inches, well, she cannot be shown. She will not go into that ring. It does make her disqualified, and the same with the bucks. And as far as 17 inches, like I had mentioned, so that does not count for any babies or anything like that. It is an adult doe or buck that has to be at least 17 inches tall. So they can be too short and get disqualified. That would be a really, really short, mature Nigerian though. So, all right, so number C. ADGA measuring device has to be used under the judge's supervision. So they're bringing that one back home. The judge is the one that has to be doing the measuring. Okay, number 11. When there is a written agreement between the judge and the show committee, and a show has already been sanctioned, both parties have to commit to their agreement. So the show committee can't break their agreement, and the judge can't break his or her agreement. And if a judge cannot fulfill their agreement, they have to immediately contact the sponsor and explain the circumstances. Now the sponsor can request that the judge contacts a previously agreed upon replacement, and if the judge does not fulfill that request, then it is grounds for filing a complaint with the ADGA Judges Committee. So that would not be a good thing. Number 12. If the goats that win Grand Champion, Reserve Grand Champion, or Champion Challenge are other than a La Mancha and have tattoos in their tail, then the judge has to also check for tattoos in their ears. And they're going to check tattoos and make sure it follows the paperwork as well. And if there are ear tattoos, then it needs to be stated on the report of awards. So the report of the awards is what kind of the secretary is filling out and getting signed and all of that stuff. So it would need to be noted. And number 13, the judge has to avoid putting their hands or fingers in a goat's mouth to check for defects. Thank goodness, right? You don't want judges just shoving their hands down your animal's mouth, but it should be the exhibitor's responsibility. So the judge needs to ask the exhibitor, could you please open your goat's mouth? And if for some reason that is not a thing, then the judge can check for defects in the mouth, but before moving on any further with the show, he or she has to go disinfect their hands. All right, and the last one, rule number 14, an ADGA judge at an ADGA sanctioned show should only sign the ADGA paperwork unless the show is dual sanctioned with another registry. So let's see here. If a registry wants access to an ADGA show report, they can request it directly from ADGA office if it is requested within 30 days and the fee was paid. So in other words, there is a lot of times you'll see an ADGA show that is dual sanctioned, meaning there is another goat registry, American Goat Society, typically AGS, and they're just having a show kind of side by side. So if that is the case and it's already been approved and it's a dual show, then the judge is allowed to sign those paperworks for that registry as well. And if the, say, AGS wants the report of ADGA's show, everything that went down and who won, then they absolutely can request it, but they have to request it from the office, ADGA office, and there is a fee associated with that, and that has to be paid. And again, it has to be requested within 30 days of the show. All right, so that covers section C, rules governing show officials and judges. And our next section is rules governing a pre-show milkout. So you don't want to miss that one. All right, guys, so today we're going to be making one of my husband's favorite bars, the Sage Bar. And the sage in this bar smells so amazing. Not only is it therapeutic and calming when smelled, sorry, I had to smell it, but also if applied topically, sage has anti-inflammatory benefits to it. So it's a super awesome bar. And this is what it looks like. So we're going to use the hanger swirl technique for this bar and just kind of swirl it in there so it looks like a sage bush. All right, so for starters, we got our mixture of oils here, and we are going to add our organic sage essential oil that again smells amazing. Just dump that right in. And of course, the lovely doe's milk. All right, so we're just gonna mix this in until blended and looking creamy. Okay, perfect. So now I just got to get all of this turned into soap. So we're going to add the lye to this before we add it to the different colorants. And I'm just going to mix it until blended, because again, I do have to mix in those other colorants. And it can't get thick. Give her a little stir and blend. Alright, that is mixed in perfect. So now I have some purple Brazilian clay. We're going to add a little bit of that soap mixture to this cup. And I also have some French green clay with some spirulina in this cup, and this one's going to get a little more. Alright, so we don't need too much of the purple. Maybe just a hair more. Perfect. And this cup, I'm going to fill her up. Now we're going to put these to the side. And this batter here, I do want to just blend a little more because I am going to need it to be just a bit thicker so that when I start adding the colors in, they don't sink completely to the bottom. I want them to kind of sit on top of the white. Alright, not too much longer, but definitely a little bit more blending is necessary. Okay, so that is quite a bit thicker. It's like a little bit of a runny pudding consistency, which is perfect because it is going, as it sits here, it's also going to harden up. So push this to the side. I'll start with the lighter color first, which is our purple. And carefully get that in there. Get those air bubbles out. Alright, I don't want to blend this any more than needed. So hopefully just a few pulses and we're good. Make sure, okay, a little more. All right, good to go. And then the green. Scrape the sides. Perfect. So now we have our mold. I'm going to pour, oh my goodness, yeah, just to show you guys, just that little bit more. You see how quickly it thickens? So if I don't hurry, I'm not going to get my hanger swirled down in there. So I'm going to put a bottom layer down, not too much. So we need 3 layers. I need 2 layers of the green, and the top layer is the purple. Let's see if this is nice to me and I don't have to use a spatula. So just lightly go back and forth like this. It is a nice consistency for me. Here we go. It's crazy how quick it thickens. It just really wants to turn into a bar of soap. Maybe a little more, because I do have enough green for it. Now this is the fun part, where you kind of have to grab a hold of your big old bucket of soap here carefully, and you do got to use a spatula, because I don't want it to just kind of ruin that line there. And this just helps it fall on it a little easier. See how that goes? Now just kind of pat it down a bit, make it a little even. And more green. I am going to give this a quick stir here. So I've mentioned before, if you stir it every once in a while, it does help it stay, it does help it keep from getting so thick so quickly. More green. Be good green. Almost done. Awesome. Okay, more white. This smells so good. Just a little, I still have to make room for that purple. See, just stirring it even helped it pour much better. And by the time I get to the purple, it's going to be pretty thick. Alright. Alright, now the purple, and if you can see that, it's thick. So I'm going to give it a little stir. Let's see, hopefully this will pour for me. If not, we'll use the spoon. Yeah, we're looking pretty good though. Come on, come on. I do want to save just a little bit of this purple for the top too. Hopefully it's coming out thick. And now the remaining white goes right on top. Right, sorry guys, started from the wrong end there. Here we go. Boy, it's getting real thick real quick. We are good for the hanger swirl. Now this, if you haven't seen it before, guys, is what they call the soap hanger. So I'm gonna push it in and pull it out, and it's going to just give it those swirls. It's gonna move that soap around in there. So, right about there. Come up the side, and then again right in the middle here. Come up the side. And do that here. Again. Oh. Alright, so because the soap is a little bit thick, you could have air pockets in there now because you just did that. So all I'm going to do is go back through it and pat it down just to get rid of any potential air bubbles. Now, with some of the purple and the green, a super thick purple, I am just going to drop some of it here and there on the top. Come on. Okay. Now the green. Oh, the green's even thicker. Maybe a little more. There we go. Okay, so for this topping, it is just my itty bitty spoon and go to a swipe, and then I turn it and then do it again. So here we go. Let's see how just those colors blending in just make it prettier. Love it. Okay, now spinner. And do it to this side. Toppings have got to be the best part of it all, because you're done, feel good about it, and then this part's just fun and satisfying. Alright, so it's just that easy, guys. Check her out. Love the topping. And it smells amazing in here. So I do have quite a few more soaps I have to get done and make today, but this is available right now, you guys. If you guys haven't tried the Sage Bar, you definitely want to give it a shot because it is amazing. So head on over to the Etsy shop and get yourself some soap. Other than that, we'll see you guys again soon.
Hello, goat lovers. People are always asking my wife which bar of soap would their husband like, so she thought she'd ask me. My first favorite was charcoal because it just looks really tough, and I like camo and pine, and I like camo and cedar because they're camouflage, but quite honestly, my favorite has become the Sage Bar. I don't know why, just one day in a store I caught a whiff of something that smelled nice and I realized it was me. Blue Cactus soap is made with all natural ingredients. It's available on Etsy. Hot Wife and Giant Dog must be acquired separately.